All right, MA Marignon turned 74. Who knows what's going to be happening? A lot of stuff, no doubt. Right, so we're still trying to do a little bit of site searching. Hey, we actually found an astral site. Very nice. We have a good astral income, but we always would like more. We're sending our lesser horror out. We'll see the result of that later. Spying on places, of course, bringing a lich in, corpsemen. We need that chaff. Our double breath of the deserts in 2 different provinces. Always reanimating mechanical men this turn because we're a little bit worried about Eriu coming after our oldest throne, kind of near our capital. Another spying. So I think, we have 2 of those. We either forged another one or we may have actually found one in an event. And then we have some mind hunts now. So 2 mind hunters up. Sadly, they resisted. And then let's see. This was successful though. I do think that, the kind of chaff groups that Asphodel has been throwing at us are going to be fairly susceptible to these kind of mind hunts. They're thugs, not so much so. But yeah, we will probably keep this up against Asphodel. So 50% success so far, this turn anyway. That's nice. A report from Shiniyama. That is not good. Okay, so that's not flames from the sky. That is good. I was a little bit worried that, someone else saw where our army was, someone that had more research and hit us with the big one. This is, I don't remember, I think flames from afar, and it's pretty unimpressive, and I think it costs like 10 fire gems. I'm not saying don't ever cast it, but I haven't found, a lot of useful casts for it, although it did take out one of our lizard shaman, which could be a problem for our communions, so maybe this is one of those cases where actually kind of a good result. Ooh, an Eternal Pyre got dispelled, so I'm actually kind of surprised that it took this long. I was expecting this to happen sooner, and of course we have no idea, who did this. We're in a pretty good position, so it really could be anybody. Obviously, Asphodel is probably our largest and most, Eriu. Neither Eriu nor Asphodel are major astral powers, but, it's such a big game, turn 74, really anybody could be responsible for this. So we'll probably put up a minimum cast immediately, or a close to minimum cast immediately, because I think that can be pretty disheartening. Right? Like when it's you dispel a global and then it goes back up immediately the next turn. Oftentimes, people work together, right? So there's been some diplomacy and some pooling of gems. So hopefully this wasn't, it couldn't have been a minimum dispel because we actually put in we beat out that other Eternal Pyre cast. Although it does depend, if you have a higher level mage, then you essentially get bonus. It's as though you were putting more gems into your dispel cast. Anyway, so we're probably going to go with a relatively minimum cast, and we have a pretty good fire income, so as long as we're not throwing away a pretty good native fire income, so as long as we're not throwing away a ton of gems, we can probably outlast, unless it's a major effort for multiple players, we can probably outlast the Astral Pearls that they're going to throw at it, unless they're throwing minimum dispels at it, because I think dispel is 30 gems, and to put up Eternal Pyre, it's 80. But we do at least get 20 refund, essentially, from the income of the first turn, so even if it goes down right away, I do believe we get that income. I'll have to double check that. Anyway, so the global games have begun. I mean, I'm sure there's been other stuff going on as well. We're bringing in another werewolf, more mechanical men. This is the horror attack. Not sure. Oh, right. This is against Eriu's army. And we really were just kind of curious to see it. Holy moly. That's a lot of Great Eagles. I think Eriu went a little overboard on Great Eagles. But that is definitely going to one-turn crack almost any fort in existence. It is kind of light otherwise, though. A lot of Great Eagles, no mages. We really would prefer this not to connect with that other group that has a bunch of mages, but not much in the way of troops. It does have this Golem who we've seen before. Maybe this is a new Golem, actually, because he doesn't have that dagger, and there is an Earth King here. Yeah, not really very heavy kit. Like I said, I think Eriu, expensive kit, though. But yeah, I think the player for Eriu is in maybe too many games or very busy right now. But that will be a fairly dangerous army if it manages to hook up with their mage group. So we'll maybe try to use... Our army might be able to position itself in between those two groups. We did a little bit of manual site searching. This is maybe an interesting site. Probably won't have time to exploit it. We've started to, expand on our blood hunting operation a bit. Definitely should have done that sooner, but again, the plan was for infinite money, and blood hunting definitely cuts into that. But yeah, we've we've hit the point where it's like we're going to need all the help we can get. And then one of our lantern holders got eaten by horrors, as happens. And here's one of our water bottle assassins. I actually only see the one assassination attempt, so that kind of spoils it. And not that, Mountain King's not fantastic in combat, and so, this should work out generally. So yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty effective deterrent, at least against raiding on top of our forts, and make it a bit painful depending on who jumps on top. If they bring a whole army. And then let's see, then just all the battles. And of course we're getting struck by lightning. Never forget. I had forgotten, actually. So this looks like a ping, or maybe, I think he's going to go for it. It might work out, actually, because he's just up against a single militia. He should be able to, and then we just have a friar. This is totally going to work. That's amazing. Probably should invest a little more than 1 PD in this case. But, there's all kinds of raiding forts. There's Wraith Lords and stuff running around. So, yeah, that's the thing. When you have, heavier raiders that really dissuade putting a lot of PD in, and you notice that, people are reacting by putting little to no PD in, then ridiculous stuff like this totally can work. Also, our PD commander is fairly underwhelming. Speaking of low PD commitment, we retake this from, I think, Ariu with no resistance. And then we have some battles against Asphodel. Some of these could be interesting, although, again, this is more going up against Raiders. Yeah, hopefully this won't trigger gem usage. Asphodel looks like they did leave 6 province defense in, so they won't have to worry about any nonsense. We'll have to actually, commit something to take it. But we did, so we should take that. Yeah, no losses, which is nice, and I don't think we spent gems, which is extra nice. And then our Bakemono. Okay. Yeah, they're up against 6 PD and some free spawn. So Asphodel kind of has some built-in, because these guys just show up. So they have extra defenders in a lot of their provinces. So I knew this was kind of a risky raid. We probably shouldn't have made it. Yeah, there goes our commander. So yeah, this doesn't work out for us. And I don't think Asphodel's really going to lose anything. On the other hand, no, somehow... Oh, that wasn't our commander. It was just some crippled guy. But we still lost. Still, it was somewhat close. This Bakemono group had been reduced a little bit. I actually haven't used Bakemono a ton, but yeah, 13 a little on the light side when you're up against 6 PD. Might have worked out had the mannequins not been there, but still would have been really dicey. And then we get raided somewhere by Ariu, the thug. Yeah, this looks like it's in their territory. 2 thugs. Standard kit looks like, and we probably left, 1 province defense, so we know how that's going to go. 2 elven thugs, no problem there. But, it's in their territory, or at least in their dominions, so we're not too worried about that. And then, these are the elephants that took out our werewolf thug. And it does trigger gem usage. Shiniyama, I will say, if you want to burn someone's gems, if they're using armies such as I am, to clear out provinces, you can cause a lot of gem expenditure just by dumping a ton of province defense in. Now, the smart way to do this, for me, would to be send a thug in, which is what we try to do. We don't really have a ton of size 6 thugs, so elephants are a bit of a problem. Looks like we managed to capture a routing elephant who is now going to route through our own territory, so we enslaved-minded it. Oh, please don't trample my mages. I think the battle's going to end. Maybe? Nope. Going right for the mage line. We're going to win. Definitely. Okay, got awed by our Harbinger. But anyway, we'll definitely win. But I think we just lost a mage to an elephant that we enslaved. Okay, anyway. Just the beautiful randomness of dominions. Looks like, he just got shunted out of the way. The one flagellant we lost very well may have been to that elephant. And then somehow we didn't end up... I guess we killed the elephant before the combat ended, so we didn't end up with the elephant, despite all the danger you put us in. But that does at least work out. So, Shiniyama obviously on their last legs now, so they probably not going to face too many more province defense dumps like that. Speaking of province defense, this is a pretty high investment from Asphodel. It's kind of interesting. So it looks like they feel that these werewolf thugs, can't necessarily handle a ton of PD, which is probably true. Ooh, actually no, this guy has the Vine Shield. In fact, we gave him the Amulet of Anti-Magic, right? Because we ate a Mind Hunt attempt the last time we were using werewolves in those territories. So we doubled down on our gem expenditure. This is definitely a premium thug, but we did steal at least the Vine Shield, probably the Frostbrand too, from Ariu. So in some ways, he's actually not as expensive as he looks. And, yeah, Vine Shield, Frostbrand works really well, even against a lot of people. This is not new news to Dominion's players, but still does work out. And, it is nice that the werewolves regenerate. I know I do kind of poo-poo them a bit. They have their problems. The regeneration is nice. They're not the worst thugs. Speaking of not the worst thugs, here's an Almish thug, a little on the expensive side. Yeah, people really like this Astral Serpent. It's a little on the pricey side, but, death poison and armor negating. And yeah, the attack is armor negating, so you're pretty much guaranteed to poison people. It's a pretty good weapon. This guy a little on the expensive side. I think we've seen him before, but of course Ulm gets the discount. I think they're going to be able to come away with it. Interesting that Asphodel chose to invest, some PD. So it looks like, Ulm is using probably a mixture of raiding groups, some of which, probably can be defeated by like a minimum level of investment in PD. But certainly that guy probably no amount of PD. Maybe if you ran into those elephants, although he's built in ethereal, which helps a lot for getting trampled. And then here's one of our werewolves who's been kitted out slightly differently. This guy's going for like maximum attacks, is still a little on the expensive side, but this is at least like blood slaves, so they count for less. But that is all our own gear, so this is, the cost is real. We didn't steal any of that. But yeah, the idea is, werewolves have a lot of attacks, so why not give them even more attacks, make them nice and killy. He's struggling with this PD commander, which is not a great sign, but he did at least take him out. And those... All right, the big Bakemono? I think they're still Bakemono. Anyway, the Orc fellows are a little on the dangerous side. Yeah, there you go. He's a Bakemono. But yeah, not the toughest test for our thug, but again, indicative that Shiniyama's on the ropes in terms of money because they weren't able to dump a bunch of province defense there. This is one of our really diseased armies that we're hopefully going to link up with that force that we saw take one of Asphodel's provinces. And both of these are going to hopefully combine on top of Naba, which is hopefully a very warm place now, so we don't get murdering wintered, though we haven't actually seen that, so, maybe my worries were for naught. But yeah, we're definitely going to take out a small amount of province defense here. So that works out for us. No gem expenditure, no losses. We'd like to see those things. And then here we go, battle in Xibalba. So I imagine this is probably going to be the biggest battle of the turn. Let's see. Yep, Xibalba's just, I think they just set everything to patrol and then probably haven't looked at this game in some time. So yeah, the bats go in immediately, but we do manage to get down, only arrow fend right off the bat. So I do think... yeah, there goes mass protection. A little on the scary side, or no, that's Serpent's Blessing. Yeah, which is important because here comes Foul Vapors. So yeah, we have poison resistance, so somehow we don't have Divine Blessing in this, I guess? Or I think, yeah, there's the Divine Blessing, yeah, because this lady, once she jumps in the Communion, she can actually provide the Divine Blessing. So, but first she puts up the Fog Warriors, hopefully. Nope, something went wrong with the Fog Warriors, so it looks like no Fog Warriors for this, which is a bit on the problematic side, but not the worst case. Like, yeah, a bunch of Pillar of Fire spam. And we just have a lot more research, and the Knights are pretty good, and we do still have, a lot of relevant buffs. And so yeah, let's see. Doom. That's from Xibalba. Definitely a good one. In a battle where you're likely to lose. So all of our guys are cursed now. Wait, that was our Doom? Someone must have had extra Astral Pearls, because I definitely did not script a Doom. Yeah, so we cast it on Xibalba. That's just a dick move. So that's on our mages. I definitely did not script that. There is no point in casting Doom for a battle that you're expecting to win, right, and win decisively. We're going to kill all these units. Like, they're not going to hang around, so not going to be a long and grindy fight. There's really no point to be doing that. I don't know. I guess there's some Marignon's mage out there, he doesn't like frog people, I guess. So it does work out for us, even though the scripting was a little on the wonky side for us. But of course, Xibalba is a one province nation, has been that way for a while. We do manage to lose one of our paladins, which is a little sad because he's probably a sword carrier. And then we lose some of our long dead. Otherwise, though, yeah, no real losses, which is good. And then, Xibalba loses the majority of their stuff, though not everything. So some stuff will have retreated into the fort. We do manage to find some gear. Which is hopefully not our own gear, though I suspect the Great Sword of Sharpness at least is our gear. But still, that's a pretty good result for us. We had some retreats. Yeah, I guess this is probably Foul Vapors related. It's kind of problematic that 2 of our Camazots retreated because we're using them for the undead leadership, so we may actually have some stranded skeletons here, but we're pretty close to where the Camazots come from, so we should be able to get undead leadership out there soon. And then, yeah, I don't know what this is. It's a raid against Asphodel. Is it a diseased? No, it's just some guys. So it's just a mixture of, our normal like fire elemental and then also pillar of fire with the initiates. Yeah, I think these are the Centaur raiders. So we were expecting them to push forward. Are we being attacked? Are we attacking? I don't know. Anyway, this is like one of those Centaur raiding groups along with some mannequins, and we're just doing fire stuff. No, this must be, we're attacking, yeah, because they have cavemen. So this is a place that they took, but then I guess chose to hang out rather than try to raid another province, which is pretty reasonable, right? Like try to catch people off guard, switch things up. But, yeah, I mean, Asphodel's pretty good, so I raid heavy against Asphodel. The player that is playing Asphodel, to be clear. Asphodel the nation, not good, only further demonstrating how good this player is. And then, yeah, not to mention that Marignon, stacks up. We have, special spells that are good against the undead. And then this is the group that, has no leadership now, and they're just going to fall apart because they are undead, and they need undead leadership, mindless undead specifically. So since our water bottle assassins got rid of their leader, they just fall apart, and we're able to take that out. So we unlock our fort, which is nice, and then we witness a battle in Phaecia. I don't think this is where man's main force is. Oh no, it's a main force, a large force anyway. This looks like more of a raiding force from Asphodel or Earthquake. Yep. So yeah, it's just an earthquake trap. Cool stuff. Not cool for man, although it doesn't look too terrible, but that's the problem. I think there's a communion. Yeah, so some of their magic comes from the communion. So the earthquake did manage to go off before the buffs came down, but unfortunately for Asphodel, and fortunately for us, looks like one earthquake probably wasn't quite enough to do too much, even against human level HP. Although man's mages don't have a ton of HP, so a Crystal Sorceress goes down, a Wise Man goes down, but yeah, that's not too bad in terms of losses. That's a good amount of kit that he lost in that gnome. Definitely if you're going to try Earthquake traps, which Asphodel doesn't really have any built-in Earth that I know of, so it's going to be pretty difficult for Asphodel to send in even one Earthquake trap. Multiple, casters of Earthquake, even harder to put together, but if you are going to do that and you can pull it off, definitely you want multiple casters of Earthquake. And then we raid a province from Asphodel. Yeah, this used to be our province. Right, this is our fellow who he received his fire gem, but he's going to live another day, it looks like, probably. You never know how these go. Did we give him a fire gem? Okay, yeah, we gave him some fire gems. He's just taking his time, making himself ethereal, which is probably good, because there's some archers here. So yeah, this should work out for us. Famous last words. No, it does work out for us. We'll see. We might just send him forward and, have him do some Pillar of Fire spam, since he is diseased and, not likely to last too much longer anyway. Looks like we forgot to put... Oh, no, this is a province that's been completely depopulated in Asphodel's territory, so no one can put any province defense there, and we had a scout in the area, so we were just being annoying. And Asphodel reconquered it, probably also with a scout, but that's fine. We'll just, periodically be annoying in that province as we move around. And then this is a different group of all the Great Eagles. At this point, this is kind of just armies of Great Eagles, which, maybe could work out. Great Eagles are not bad. You know, with Army of Gold and Fog Warriors, 52 hit points, you know, if you put mass regeneration on them, really one of the big downsides, they're fairly expensive. They're size 6, their attack density isn't great in terms of like combat troops. They're so valuable for cracking forts. That's usually why I'm like, you know, using them as like frontline troops, not really ideal. Their skills are not fantastic, although I do think they're being reduced a little bit, yeah, by it's slightly dark. So like, yeah, I mean, you know, in a lot of ways, they're decent frontline troops. We apparently have someone here. Oh yeah, okay, I think this is, yeah, some more diseased guys. Yeah, so, you know, we don't really have much here, so that's why we're just throwing out some gifts of heaven. Of course, yeah, great eagles also fly, so like that's pretty useful. This is one of our Grand Masters, so this is a, you know, better or a heavier rating squad, and the body ethereal is going to make a big difference, and like our knights are definitely just better combatants. And then it's probably Army of Gold. If it's gold, they have fire resistance. Yeah, it's gold, so they have fire resistance. Definitely relevant against our Firecaster. Luckily, for whatever reason, they chose not to jump on that guy. Not sure what got him, but you know, we probably killed at least a few eagles there with the gifts from heaven. And these guys are so big, they present pretty good targets for gifts from heaven. Although, yeah, no, now that I'm thinking about it, right, because we attacked, that's the same army. That's good news, at least, that there isn't, like, all the great eagles. There's just a lot of great eagles, because we attacked it in the magic phase, so it chose to move out. It looks like it can't get through that mountain pass, as I suspected, and is choosing to move around. And yeah, that actually was not as good of a trade as I was hoping for us, but, you know, yeah, like I said, this Crystal Mage, I think, was diseased. The Grand Master, in losing the kit and the Knights of the Chalice, less than ideal. But I do think we can deal with that army from Area. And then speaking of Area, we get attacked somewhere. Yes, this is the other army. Kind of interesting that it's looking like it's not trying to link up because it moved in a different direction, so it's not trying to link up with those great eagles, because I feel like this is a very dangerous army to just be rolling around. I mean, it's not really an army, right? It's kind of the remnants of a front line and a lot of expensive mages. So yeah, we may try to intercept this. It has a lot of places it can go, so trying to predict where it's going to go might be fairly difficult. But you know, we do have some forts in the area, and like this is something that we can probably take out with fire elemental spam and pillar of fire. So like we don't really need to commit a full army ourselves. Obviously, we had one PD there, so not going to stop that. And then we get raided somewhere by Asphodel. I think we moved stuff in here, I hope. No. Yes, we did. we moved some friars in, and we sort of dumped Ko-Oni, like we, oh god, guys, yeah, not the friars. We're in a cave. There's like what? Oh yeah, I guess these are like the centaur guys. They have a really long range bow here, I feel like. Oh yeah, and they're undead. They say have like they don't care about the dark. Still though, it's like only a couple arrows. So anyway, the friars can hopefully do a good amount of banishment, and like the Ko-Oni are decent. If they would hurry up and attack and get in range, there we go. So I don't think we're gonna win this. I don't know, we'll see. Banishment is pretty good against this chaff, so that's why I was kind of like, well, you know, we couldn't quite cover everything perfectly. It didn't work out for us. But we did at least cut down on the chaff numbers, I think. Oh yeah, Asphodel has the undead regeneration, don't they? Or no, I'm not really sure what that regeneration is. Yeah, because these guys aren't sacred. I wonder, that's probably like an Asphodel specific spell, because like, yeah, these guys are definitely regenerating. Goes to show how familiar I am with Asphodel. Despite having fought them for a little while, I didn't even realize these guys could regenerate. So now knowing that, definitely committing 2 friars and, you know, 20 PD, even though it's Ko-Oni PD, like, yeah, it's probably not really going to work out. So that doesn't work for us. But, you know, I mean, 2 friars, that's not the end of the world. I think one of them might have even gotten away. Whoa, this is a real deep. Kind of, maybe he'll bump into some sea elves. Sadly, we don't have, you know, any answer out here. Kind of been moving some of our answers in, right? Because Aryu's rating has let up a lot. So we do still have a lot of mages running around out there, but not nearly as many as before. Standard kitting here, he's definitely going to be able to take out this lion tribe. So that's unfortunate, but, you know, yeah, we should be able to deal with this guy. We at least know where he is now, so we can, you know, move into neighboring areas. And then there's another battle in Phaecia. Okay, interesting. So it looks like this is now the storm, and so now that earthquake trap making a lot more sense, right? Because all the damage from it remains on these units because it's the same turn. And then yeah, here's another some sort of trap. Not sure what that was. No, this guy was just casting Howl. So this is the Pretender, and they cast Bone Grinding. That's what that was. There probably will be more Bone Grindings, and Bone Grinding is another one that like doesn't do a ton of damage generally, but especially against human HP units that have already been damaged. Like yeah, this is a super budget defense. There's another Bone Grinding. This player is good. This just hurts to watch. My heart goes out to you, man. I have been in your position. And this is just some really good play. So, take note. If you want to defend a fort on a budget, and you've been intelligent with your Pretender design. Oh, there's another Bone Grinding. He's probably got so many. I don't even know where he is. Oh, he's back here. Okay, there's more here than I thought. There's a few other mages. Let's see, does he have any more? Oh yeah, of course he's got more death gems. Death 7, he's been boosted in death. He's got probably a lot of reinvigoration. Okay, only 3 reinvigoration. I mean, Asphodel is getting pressed pretty hard on a 3v1. There's another Bone Grinding. Note that all of his commanders are ethereal. That's an excellent way to get around Bone Grinding. So, a lot of planning went into this. This is a super brutal loss for Man, I feel like. I mean, I don't have great scouting on them, so hopefully they have a lot of other forces, or at least one other army, because this army is pretty done, and I don't really see this working out for Man. Very painful. So let's take a look. Yeah, it's a lot of losses. I mean, almost everything. 10 units survived. I don't even want to look if any of them were mages. Hopefully some of them were. Asphodel, they lose a sorceress. I mean, that does hurt. But, they lose the 11 Centaur Warriors because their nation sucks and they don't have very much gold. That's perhaps a little more painful than normal, but, I mean, anybody would take this trade any day of the week. So, yeah, again, this is, why I jumped in against Asphodel, because I don't think the 2v1 with Man and Ulm, I think Asphodel wins that in the long run. I think Man and Ulm have both been doing cool stuff. They've both been fighting hard. I don't think they've been playing badly. I just think that this player is that good. This is definitely, I was planning on committing pretty heavily, before, Shiniyama and Airyu jumped in. So, this was going to be our fate as well. We surely would have lost an army, in this manner or some such manner. But once other targets presented themselves, right, that's why we shifted focus, because, it's the amount of territory that we're going to get and the price that we're going to pay against Asphodel, I just knew it was disastrous. So it's if we got easier options. Speaking of easier options, although this is looking a little scary. This is a ton of these dog fellows, and this is a pretty weak army from us. We got flaming arrows. We got a fire elemental that got trapped. We did at least get arrow fend up, which is relevant. And I think we got fog warriors off. No, we did not get fog warriors off because we don't actually have a communion here. So we just have the arrow fend, which Shiniyama has been using the really nasty, longbowmen pretty effectively. This is a lot more stuff in this fort than I was expecting. And yeah, there's a couple Bakamona sorcerers back here. I don't think we come away with this. They don't have much in the way of kit, so they're not thugs, but the Skelly spam alone, I think, will keep us out. Well, this guy's got some kit. Not sure what the earth gems are for. We would not love Earthquake, although I don't think Shiniyama would love Earthquake either. We do at least have the Paladin going forward. Great Sword of Sharpness, not really a great option. Yeah, it is a Great Sword of Sharpness guy. Don't we have, I think we have the, no, maybe it's not this army. I could have sworn we had a guy with 2 frost brands. Maybe he's already dead. So, we are at least we have priests, right? We have spells against the undead, but Skelly spam, in a fort situation is pretty good. And, we've set our crossbowmen on fire. It's a pretty good chance we HP route here. So it's not impossible that we come away with this. It is not looking likely. That's a lot of earth elementals too, which is not ideal. So one of our paladins is still up somehow. That's kind of impressive. I would have figured, yep, an earth elemental got him. So yeah, and we have more routing. So there goes basically all of our troops. And I think this is going to be, wow, I'm surprised that we have not had an HP route yet. Surely, maybe just people haven't gotten the message. It does say the armies of Shiniyama are mostly routed. So, there's at least not much left in here. But this is a bit on the dangerous side. This is the throne. Not sure why. Oh, you know what? We must have berserked these eagles. Yeah, someone touch of madness or something like that. So we just have a couple berserk great eagles. and a lizard shaman who somehow, yeah, I guess the Great Eagles do have a lot of HP, so Great Eagles for the win. You know, they were bodyguards, now they're angry. This looks like a prophet potentially. Yeah, dang, he's coming away with it. Yeah, he's got a great sword of sharpness as well. So yeah, he does not care about body ethereal. Oh, come on, if this guy... Okay, so I think it's just the prophet who's been set on fire, one angry Great Eagle, and one lizard shaman that just hasn't got the memo that we lost this battle. He's probably asleep. No? He's still... What? I don't know what has possessed Uttu. He's not even berserked, but he's just decided that, like, he's gonna twist fate his way to victory. I think he did. I don't even know how he killed him. I think the guy got set on fire somehow. Well, that was one of the strangest battles I've ever seen. Super rough for both sides, but, you know, care more for us. Losing 6 Witch Hunters is pretty painful. Those guys are pricey. We also lose 3 Paladins. Our Harbinger at least survives, hopefully. Let's take a look at the retreat. Yeah, they retreated successfully. It looks like more or less everyone retreated successfully. And then some of our troops survived, probably mostly crossbowmen. The Grand Masters survived, so that's good. Anyway, I mean, it works. It was painful, though. So, yeah, I mean, I knew that this was kind of a smaller army, but, you know, I just wasn't thinking there was this much in this fort. So it was nicely done by Shiniyama, and really kind of outrageous that they didn't come away with that. But I will take it. This just it's an omen. This is going to be our game to win. That was a throne province. So, you know, the gods of dominions, past times, are looking on, and they are pleased with our efforts, I guess. Speaking of being pleased with efforts, this is Pelagia, who's really done just a class job against a 2v1. They came in as a sub. In Atlantis, they got like the School of Sharks business coming up, and it's kind of like the underwater Howl, though it's not exactly like Howl. Like, it doesn't work very well against inanimates, if I recall, because they actually kind of like, they want blood in the water, and they're like attracted, so I think somehow the amount of damage you take is related, although there are a couple different shark spells, as I recall. And like Pelagia is just, you know, super outnumbered here. It's a bit unfortunate that their troops like rushed out immediately. So, you know, they're not really getting the benefit of the gate, and they're getting completely surrounded. I think a hold and attack here would have helped them out significantly. I don't know whether or not, you know, would have made the difference. Probably not, because that is just an absolute ton of water elementals. Though, frankly, kind of I mean, I hesitate to say a waste. It won't be a complete waste, but the positioning, and it can be challenging, definitely, to use elementals. Lord knows, I have set my own troops on fire. I mean, just in that last battle, one of our fire elementals got trapped behind our troops. But this is a ton of water elementals that are mostly just trapped behind Atlantis' own army, so not the most efficient use of elementals. There are a ton of undead coming out, which don't do great underwater, but, you know, they might just stack up in the gate. Though Atlantis does have pretty good priests, yeah, so there's quite a bit of banishment going on. There is a thug here, which is cool. Oh no, he's just he's an unkitted Triton King. He does have Moss Body, and somehow he has Protective Force. Oh, it's like a water shield, so you have different pathing underwater. So, like, still, like, somewhat dangerous, but a shame that he wasn't able to get any kit. I do think the sub is focused on, you know, other games. Like, they may have staled this turn or the previous turn. I actually reached out to him to see if they wanted me to forge any gear for him, because, frankly, the longer they can hold up these underwater nations, the better for me. But yeah, I never really heard back. So it is summertime, everyone's busy, myself included, and I don't think this is going to work out for Pelagia, though it is a pretty expensive win for Atlantis. I mean, they lose pretty much their entire front line. The water elementals should come away with it. No advance in cast spells either from their mages, which it's always a little dicey, you know, on assaults especially, but, you know, I do feel like it can really help. But, I mean, you know, maybe they just felt, you know, they're summoning all the water elementals. That should net them the victory, and indeed it does look like it will. And they even managed to enslave Mind on a Triton King. Pretty cool for them. That might even be worth spending the gems on to bring him, you know, to turn him into a command. So that's probably it for Pelagia. Like I said, they did a really good job holding out, and they definitely made Atlantis pay fairly heavily for it. Though, in it, to Atlantis' credit, the mage losses are pretty negligible. And a lot of the troops that they lost aren't great, like the Ichthyids, not a big deal. These Coral Guard, yeah, a bit on the expensive side, so like that hurts, you know, losing, 63 of them. And I believe these Mother Guards, yeah, they're Sacreds, which, yeah, are fairly pricey, and they lost quite a few of them, probably I think they're capital only, so difficult to replace. So not the cleanest storm. On the other hand, Atlantis probably doesn't have any enemies other than Pelagia, because like I said, I have a feeling that, those two, Yis and Atlantis, I think the underwater hug instead of the underwater knife fight. So this is bad news in all likelihood for the land nations. Well, good news that they took a lot of losses. Bad news that Pelagia is out, and then we lose some fellows to lightning. We lose a witch hunter. Otherwise, though, like 13 units killed, it's not the end of the world. Old age, on the other hand, a bit rougher. Yes, we had a grandmaster die of disease. We talked about that quite a bit. It is not great for us. We have some unexpected events. We get rid of some vagrants. I'm not really sure this is the time to be worrying about that, but there we are. It is Marignon. Bad omens, a little bit of misfortune. Hey, we get rid of some robbers, find some gold. That's nice, considering we took misfortune scales. Speaking of misfortune, we lose a temple. That is kind of relevant for us, although this is a fort that we were actually using that temple. We were kind of pushing paladins and friars out from there. I don't know. We'll see if we rebuild it, especially now that we lost Eternal Pyre, and we're going to have to dump quite a few fire gems into that. The infinite money plan at least has to be put on hold, and kind of has been on hold for a little while. And then we found a few scouts, a scout from Eriu and a scout from Xibalba. Xibalba is not eliminated? Right, no, of course Xibalba was not eliminated because we only jumped on top of their capital. We haven't actually stormed it yet, but I don't think there's much left, so that's why I'm thinking they're already eliminated. And we did breach Xibalba, so there probably isn't a whole lot inside, though we do have a lot on top. And then we breached Shiniyama as well. And this is our diseased army, so severely damaged. That's good news. And then Tianqi, also severely damaged. So we're actually sitting on top of 3 capitals, which is great news because everything is expensive. We need more money, despite the fact that we're really large. But we should definitely focus on trying to close this out. And then some patrolling, of course, and a bunch of people dying of disease. And I'll catch you guys after the cut. All right, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. I think it is time to try to win this one. Eriu is threatening to wish for Armageddon, and I think everybody's just a little on the burned out side. So while I definitely do not feel fully ready to try to pull all the pieces together, we're going to put things in motion, and we're going to look this turn at how long I think roughly it's going to take us to win. So we have a super elite squad moving out. You see that we have a scout bringing a moonblade in for this naked werewolf, and we're giving him a moonblade mostly because we have one in inventory. I was definitely planning on making this perhaps a slightly more fearsome force, but it should be enough. It's definitely enough to take out what we see in this province currently. It will not be enough to hold against any regular phase movement attacks, but since we should be able to magic phase in a fort, the only attacks that group should have to deal with are magic phase attacks, and we can reinforce them with our own magic phase spells when they attack. The main thing, we're going to send in an Archangel, mostly because they're a Holy 3, and we'll need that in order to claim the throne. We'll probably also throw in a Werewolf, because why not? And I'll have a look at what other magic phase attacks we can cast, and we'll probably throw a bit of kitchen sink in there. But this should take, so we're sneaking out this turn, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, because we want to sneak into the province. If you're in a province stealthily and you attack it and you magic phase the same turn, all those units fight together. So on the 5th turn, we will launch the attack here. So that's kind of the timer for this throne. We may actually delay it 1 turn because this army over here, which of course is definitely going to win this no problem and be able to march forward and deal with all of these reinforcements that might come out of this fort, including any elves that we can't see. We've also lost track of exactly where Agartha's army is, and that's pretty relevant. This throne also more or less undefended at this point, though I expect, again, we're going to have to fight everything out of these forts from Eriu. But depending on the route that we take, we could actually probably do it in about the same amount of time, right? So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That does mean we have to march through a Well of Pestilence, which I really, really hate doing. But, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we will. The bigger concern is we do want to try to avoid locations that have a lot of candles for Eriu, and because if we end up fighting a battle there, our morale will be extremely low. That said, if we do manage to win this fight, There's only one candle here. We're moving a friar in so we can actually see how many candles are on top of Ashdod. So if there's not too many candles on top of Ashdod, like one candle is not that bad. So if we end up having to fight in a one candle enemy dominion, I think we can handle that. The safer play would definitely be, to move through our own dominion and, maybe here, right? Because we're doing quite a bit of preaching, so this will hopefully flip soon. And this is the location where we have that stone idol. But that definitely will take us a bit longer, and it's a bit more roundabout. Of course, if we move, definitely don't want to move into this province in between, 3 different forts with a fairly high enemy candle count. But yeah, we could potentially make this in about the same amount of time as our stealthy group. And then, of course, the final throne that we have is this one up here. And I believe our fellow who's ready, well, he's not ready because we stole some of his items to give to other people. We are forging him some extra boots, and he's pretty fast anyway. I think, yeah, he can make this in one turn anyway. We'll probably launch this attack like 1 to 2 turns early, right? Because this is a less threatening throne, right? So the idea is to try to capture these thrones back to back, like on the same turn, ideally. A little bit of a throne rush. Not completely a throne rush, but, go from 5 thrones to the required 8 thrones in ideally 1 turn. This one we might do 1 turn early because I have tested this once or twice, and even with like the full kit, he doesn't always win. Usually wins, but doesn't always win. So we may have to send a cleanup crew against this throne. And I feel like this is not, people are no doubt already kind of assuming that we more or less have this throne locked down. So if we take this, 1 to 2 turns early, and, we haven't actually revealed that we have a stealthy group here, and our army hopefully isn't too deep towards this throne here, people won't be unduly alarmed. We are already fighting a lot of our neighbors, but, if we can convince Yis to not attack us, I really have no idea why Yis hasn't attacked already. But, the closer that you get to a throne victory, the more likely it is people are going to attack you. Probably the big one would be Ulm. Ulm would be likely to attack us if we're looking, quite close. There are other wild cards, of course. Phlegra, has a massive force. I don't think they're too invested, so it's unlikely that this is going to move out of their capital. It seems like they're content to just hold on to their capital, and we have enough capitals at this point. We don't really need to deal with this. So hopefully, that'll stay put. And then, of course, the other wild card is Man, who shares a fairly substantial border with us and is relatively close to a couple of thrones now, right, that we're going to have. And so, this throne we have not claimed yet, and we don't really have a defense for. We'll probably move this army once they finish sieging and storming Tianqi. We'll move it down here to defend this throne. But, Man could potentially launch an attack against us. That's less likely considering the losses that they've just taken against Asphodel. Ulm is much more likely to attack, and then, like I said, at any point, I think Yis probably should attack us. So anyway, that's kind of the overall plan. If everything goes well, we should be able to win this in 6 turns, give or take, assuming everything goes swimmingly. We are moving another Holy 3 over. He's got some boots. We'll probably give him some flying boots, so he'll be able to fly in and claim this throne. We're going to be summoning in that Archangel to claim this throne. We probably won't need a magic phase this fort, although it would be safest to magic phase fort all the throne locations, so I probably should save up more earth gems than I was planning on, because I'm most concerned about a magic phase response from Asphodel, but obviously Eriu has a lot of magic phase options. Pretty much all of their elven thugs can magic phase in. So a magic phase response to this throne is completely possible. But anyway, in terms of Holy Threes, we'll have Holy 3 ready to claim this throne, and then hopefully there's a Holy 3. I actually think there might not be a Holy 3 down here because I've definitely planned this perfectly. Yeah, I don't think we have a Holy 3 down here. But luckily, this is pretty close to the location where we recruit Holy 3s. Look, there you go. So we'll have one recruited. Excellent, past me. Hopefully we have some magic flying shoes for him, and he'll be able to fly his way up over to this throne pretty quickly. You should be able to catch up. Obviously, this army is going to be a one province a turn sort of movement affair, so Flying Shoes Fellow will be able to catch up. So we'll have Holy Threes available to claim in all locations simultaneously, which is very important for a throne rush. No point really in capturing the provinces if you can't, simultaneously, if you can't then simultaneously claim the thrones very quickly. And we have a major advantage there as Marignon because we can recruit Holy Threes, which is relatively rare. Otherwise, business as usual. We're coming off a little bit of a break. Like I said, I think everybody's a little on the exhausted side, and summer is kind of a busy time for a lot of people, so there's a lot of travel and all that kind of stuff. I don't remember exactly what we have going on. Kind of the more similar stuff. These guys are probably going to get hit with leprosy. Definitely Asphodel has dropped a few messages in chat saying that's their favorite decision of every turn is, whether to leprosy one of my armies, one of Ulm's armies, or one of Man's armies, which, yeah, I do respect. So, a lot of these guys, they already got hit with it, so that's fine. We're half of the army that we're sending in are already lepers. So, we'll see if we win here. We really just kind of want to keep Asphodel busy and focused elsewhere, and tie up a lot of their resources. This also buys us some goodwill with Ulm and Man, and makes it less likely that they're going to attack us while we hopefully nab that win. We are storming against Xibalba this turn, and like I said, I don't expect there to be too much in there, so that should go fine. We're also storming against Shiniyama. A little more nervous about this. We didn't really look inside. I didn't really modify the script. This is a pretty inefficient assault as assaults go, and considering how this other assault went, and this is Shiniyama's capital, we'll see. That said, this is a pretty strong army. I think this one got hit with leprosy as well. Yeah, this one also got hit with leprosy. So we have a lot of disease units in here, so how strong is it anymore? I'm not 100% sure, but we have been able to beat Shiniyama's armies in the past, so fingers crossed that this goes well. We haven't actually cracked Tianchi yet. Hopefully we'll crack that and then storm it next turn, and that'll free this army up to move on top of this throne. And then we have whatever this is. I feel like this also got hit with leprosy at some point. Maybe not. This is probably just burden of time, killing off our mages. But yeah, we'll probably park this stack on top of this throne as well. I think we might also be recasting Eternal Pyre this turn, possibly. Yes, we are recasting Eternal Pyre. We do still have, some fire gems in reserve in case this cast doesn't work out for whatever reason. We were, of course, doing plenty of forging, and actually, now that I think about it, I was looking at the Astral Pearls, and I'm like, that's mighty low to be wanting to summon in an Archangel relatively soon. And I think I'm actually summoning them in early. Yeah, so we're casting Angelic Host, and we're going to stick them in this location where the Steel Ovens is, kind of our home away from home. This, in retrospect, I think is a mistake. It's partially just motivated by the concern that I will spend the Astral Pearls and, not have them available at the critical moment. So this way, we will have the Holy Three available to claim, but it does mean that we can't really magic phase them in the same turn that we attack. I don't think we'll need them the same turn that we attack, but there is some danger that if we try to normal phase move them in and we lose the magic phase battle, that is almost assuredly going to happen when we attack it. Sorry, the throne province, not some random province. Our Archangel may arrive and the battle's already over and we've lost. On the plus side, we will be able to kit him out, so he'll be a lot more dangerous than if we just send him in the same turn via the magic phase attack. So yeah, there's kind of pluses and minuses to both sides, but we won't actually be magic phasing in the Archangel because we're going to be bringing him in this turn. And yeah, I think that more or less covers turn 74.